Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. You know, humans aren't the only visitors to Volusia County's beaches through the summer season, and you might already be well aware of turtle nesting season. But you might be surprised by some of this year's statistics. You know you're riding safe when you travel Votran, and Paratransit bus operator Stuart Wood has the driving record to prove it. And there's more news on the public transportation horizon with the testing of the new Sunrail station in DeBary. Then later, Community Information Director Dave Byron sits down with Economic Development Director Rob Ehrhardt for an update on the state of our local economy. Testing for Sunrail's first locomotive is now underway and is expected to continue as Sunrail commuter rail gears up for passenger service in the spring of 2014. Officials with the Florida Department of Transportation have been working on the railroad, conducting testing of the Sunrail commuter trains here in Volusia County. Some of the recent testing took place at the DeBary station, the first of two stations in Volusia County. During testing, the locomotive was forward pulling while the train headed northbound and then push pulling while heading south. Officials say during the push pull it may have appeared the train was going backwards, but actually the engineer is able to control the train from the cab car, which has a full set of controls on board.
Before any locomotive can go into service, they must burn in a certain amount of hours. The first locomotive is required to burn in 2,500 hours, and all subsequent locomotives will have to burn in 500 each. We will definitely have them all done before spring of 2014.
Phase 1 of Sunrail starts next spring and will run from DeBary to Sand Lake Road in Orange County, covering 32 miles. Phase 2 is expected to be in operation in 2016, expanding the system to just over 61 miles, running from DeLand to Point Siena in Osceola County. Stops will be connected by Votran and Lynx buses. The two Volusia County stations will cost an estimated $88 million through the year 2036. That cost includes the county's commitment to maintain the two rail stations, the county's contribution to capital costs, as well as rail operations after Sunrail has been operating for 7 years.
The DeBary station is one of the furthest ahead in construction of all the Sunrail stations. Here there's huge parking lots, there's bus loops, there will be bike racks, things like that, so it'll be available for multimodal transportation. So if you get off the train, you can always access a car, a bus, a train, a bike, whatnot to get where you need to go from the station.
For more information, visit sunrail.com. 2013 was another strong year for sea turtle nesting activity along Volusia beaches. According to year-end reports compiled by Volusia County Environmental Management, there were 677 sea turtle nests identified since nesting season began May 1st. This is the second highest number ever recorded, and it comes on the heels of last year's record 919 nests. This year, 8 nests were leatherback turtles and 52 were green sea turtle nests. The remaining 617 nests were made by loggerheads. Historically, the most common turtles to nest on Volusia County's beaches are loggerheads.
In Volusia County, we have records that have been kept of sea turtle nesting activity since 1988. And this year, in 2013, was our second highest nesting season on record with 677 nests. So it was really an outstanding year for sea turtles, which mostly were loggerhead sea turtles, but we also had green sea turtles nesting and leatherback. Out of these nests, so far 48,000 hatched eggshells have been counted. So that means over 48,000 little baby sea turtles crawled off of our beach and swam out to the ocean.
Officially, the season for all sea turtle species to nest on Volusia beaches runs May 1st through October 31st, with midsummer the peak of nesting activity. Approximately 48 to 60 days after the first nest is laid, usually beginning in late June, the first nests begin to hatch and hatching continues into October.
Hopefully all of the conservation efforts and work that has been put into sea turtles in the past decades is finally paying off and contributes to these higher nesting years. We also have a very important sea turtle lighting ordinance, which also might highly affect where sea turtle females are deciding to nest. When they're out in the ocean and looking at the coast, if there's a lot of artificial lighting that's on the beach, that will actually detour them from nesting in an area.
Continued survival of these species depends on all beach guests and beachfront property owners to do what they can to protect the beach habitat. If you observe concerning or illegal activity involving any wildlife at the beach, please notify a lifeguard, or you can call Beach Safety at 386-239-6484. And for more information on this year's sea turtle nesting numbers, you can log on to volusiaseaturtle.org. Votran Paratransit bus operator Stuart Wood has been named the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged Paratransit Driver of the Year. Wood was recognized recently during the awards banquet of the organization's 21st Annual Conference and Expo.
We couldn't be more proud of Stuart for his accomplishments and his dedication to safety and to excellent customer service. Certainly made him very deserving of the recognition that he recently received.
Wood has been entrusted to provide on-the-road training to Votran's new paratransit operators because of his exemplary safety record, along with his patience and courtesy to customers and fellow operators. Wood, who has been with Votran for 15 years, also is a recipient of the National Safety Council's Million Mile Safe Driver Award. He joins the ranks of 30 Votran drivers who have reached 1 million safe driving miles, something that takes a Votran driver about 12 years to accomplish.
Safety is Votran's first priority. That's instilled in our operators through training and through our programs that we have internally to promote safety. And there's certainly something to be said for bus operators who can get out and navigate the challenging traffic that we have here in Volusia County. Again, the first priority is safety.
For more information on Votran, you can visit Votran.org.
Volusia County Chair Jason Davis. You know, American veterans deserve our deepest respect, and Volusia County is dedicated to helping our local veterans obtain the benefits they're entitled to. Our veteran service counselors have helped veterans receive more than $173 million in compensation and pension benefits each year, along with $1.3 billion in home loans. Volusia County has veteran service offices in DeLand, Orange City, Daytona Beach, and New Smyrna Beach. For more information, please call 386-740-5102 or visit volusia.org/veterans.
Manatee season has started at Blue Springs State Park. The cooler temperatures bring hundreds of manatees and thousands of visitors. But as Here and Now reporter Joanne Magley explains, these endangered species need more support than ever.
In the summer, Blue Springs State Park in Orange City is a very popular swimming hole, but from November through March, the spring is closed to swimmers and becomes a winter refuge for our area manatees. They escape the cold winter waters of the St. Johns River for the warm, consistent 72-degree water in the spring.
This park is here to offer a unique view of the manatee. I encourage you to walk down the boardwalk in its entirety and take a peek, and you'll see something uniquely special. The spring itself is about 1/4 mile as far as the length. So there's a large area for the manatee to be at. So there's not just one viewing area. So that's why we want to encourage you to use the entire boardwalk as opposed to just segments, because you're more apt to see more manatee.
Jerry Garrett, park manager at Blue Spring, says you'll actually find more manatees as soon as it gets cold outside.
Usually, if you follow the weather, it takes a couple of very cold days again, affecting the water temperature of St. John's. And when it gets in that 68-degree mark, that helps the manatee determine that they want to get out of the cold weather, or cold water rather, and go into the spring, and it gives them a place to relax and rejuvenate and be restored.
Manatees have no natural enemies, and it's believed they can live more than 60 years, but they are an endangered species, and now more than ever, they need your support. 766 manatees have died so far this year, 40 in Volusia County, from a variety of causes, making it the largest annual manatee die-off in Florida since record-keeping began. Manatee Watch, a local volunteer group, helps the county track where manatees are located or traveling within the county. Volunteers are trained to record manatee information such as behavior, condition, and location. There are a number of ways to support manatees, from buying specialty license plates and even adopting a real manatee. Donations help to fund research and education. If you can't make it to Blue Spring Park to see the manatees in person, you can get an up-close look at these gentle giants by visiting the website savethemanatee.org. There, you can watch live manatee cams or close-up video from underwater. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Joanne Magley.
For more information about the Manatee Watch program, you can call 386-736-5927, which is part of the county's Environmental Management Division, or you can visit VolusiaManatees.org. And to find out more about Blue Spring State Park, you can visit FloridaStateParks.org. Now let's join health correspondent Stephanie Strong for this report from the Volusia County Health Department.
There are many people in Florida with tattoos, some small, some large, some colorful. Some are messages, pictures, images. While tattoos are creative expressions, they should also be done properly to avoid health concerns. Environmental specialist Darren Guffey is on the front line inspecting tattoo parlors for the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County.
When I come to do an inspection, I look at the facility to make sure the walls are clean, the floors are clean, good lighting, make sure that the facility doesn't have any kind of vermin or insects or anything like that that might be a hazard when you do an inspection.
Tattoo parlors must receive a passing inspection prior to the issuance of a license.
When the needles are used, they have to be sterilized, and there's a date on those. So when you do go to a tattoo artist, make sure that they're using prepackaged needles. So once they're done with those go into a biomedical waste sharps container.
Brandon Daly and the other tattoo artists in Florida must be licensed, and they need documentation of completing a department-approved, industry-specific blood-borne pathogens and communicable diseases course.
Basically, we make sure everything's clean first, wash my hands, wipe down the station, put barrier films down, and then get all of my supplies out, get everything put together, prep the customer's skin, which involves shaving it and cleaning it, and we'll apply any stencils if they're required, and we can start from there.
The newly regulated tattoo program requires the licensure of tattoo artists and tattoo establishments, and also sets forth educational requirements and the standards of practice for conventional and cosmetic tattoo artists, as well as operational requirements for tattoo establishments. It is also designed to protect the public from the risk associated with potentially infectious biomedical waste. For more information, please visit www.volusiahealth.com. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County.
As always, if you have questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can log on to volusiahealth.com. Community Information Director Dave Byron sits down with Economic Development Director Rob Ehrhardt for an update on the state of our local economy.
Thanks, Amber, and hi, everyone. You know, as we near the end of 2013, the economy, both nationally and locally, is on the upswing, and there are no indications of a slowdown as 2014 approaches. The county's Economic Development Division keeps very close tabs on several key indicators as part of its monitoring of the local economy. We'll take a look at some of the economic signs for the third quarter of 2013 with our studio guest today, Rob Ehrhardt. He's the county's Economic Development Director. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Long time since the last quarter.
It has been.
Hey, let's again start off with kind of the big picture. As you look at the national landscape, what do you see? We're closing the book pretty soon on 2013. Hasn't been a bad year.
It hasn't. Well, let's go back in history and look at first quarter GDP in 2013 was 1.1%. When we spoke last, we thought that GDP for second quarter was 1.7%. That's actually been revised upward to 2.5%. Interestingly enough, third quarter GDP numbers are not yet out. The Bureau of Economic Analysis is still trying to sort through the impact of the federal government shutdown. So we anticipate here in the next few weeks that those numbers will be out. And you know, maybe there will be some impact, a lowering of the GDP, but you know, nationally things just seem to continue to go forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the shutdown in the sense that, you know, as well as things seem to be cooking across the country and here in Volusia County, you know, it doesn't take but some event like a government shutdown or some major storm or some other event across the world, and things can change rather quickly. And I know there's a lot of angst over this shutdown and what the impact would be. I don't know if we know yet what the impact would be, but at least we're back in operation.
Well, I don't think we do, Dave. And in fact, if you look at initial jobless claims, they were cruising along at about 330,000 per week through the summer months, and they've actually ticked up to something just shy of 360,000 per week. So that's a bump up.
Right.
Additionally, for October, it's being reported that consumer optimism has dropped both nationally as well as in the state of Florida, possibly by as much as 7 or 8 points.
Wow.
So from 80 down to 71. You know, this holiday season upcoming will tell the tale. Interestingly, right, there's almost a week, or I guess 6 fewer shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas this
That's
year.
Right.
So.
Right.
But again, you're right, it's going to take a few months or if not a few quarters to really understand what the impact of that shutdown was.
Well, let's focus the lens a little bit closer to home, the state of Florida and here in Volusia County. Again, all the signs seem to be rather positive for the Sunshine State as well as Volusia County.
Things have been improving. Unfortunately, we don't have September labor statistics for the same reason,
Right.
But if you look at July and August and certainly compare those to a year over year, unemployment in August was 7.1% as compared to a year ago. That's 9.1%. So, you know, it's 2 percentage point improvement over 12
Right.
months. So that's encouraging. And given all of the exciting things that we have happening in the Volusia County economy, I think it's reasonable to infer that probably those September numbers are going to look pretty good when they come out.
Well, Rob, I had a little fun with you last time, 3 months ago when we talked, because you've always consistently said you were cautiously optimistic, and I couldn't get you off that phraseology the last time. So here you are 3 months later. Are you still cautiously optimistic, or can you ratchet it up?
Well, maybe I'm just a cautious person by nature, Dave, but I am optimistic about Volusia County. I think we have heard the State Secretary of Commerce say that if Florida were a stock, you'd certainly invest in it.
Sure.
And that's a statement that I think we can all make in Volusia County as well. Capital seeks opportunity, and we're seeing that in big ways and in some smaller ways throughout the county that I know we'll get into here.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get into some of the indicators, and one of the big indicators in the last three months, as well as actually the entire year, is the construction industry. Let's look at residential construction. I mean, the number in the third quarter was literally off the chart.
Well, actually, for commercial permits, it was off the chart. And, you know, it's interesting to try to plot a number like that. And it was due in large part to a single new construction permit that was reported by the city of Daytona Beach,
right,
associated with the Daytona Rising project at the Speedway. One permit worth $105 million.
Right.
So there aren't many communities in the state that wouldn't just love to have a commercial permit like that. But
I was going to say, pretty soon you'll be talking real money, you know.
Well, if you take that one permit and you subtract it from the commercial permit activity in the third quarter, you're still left with $57 million in total commercial permits. And that compares favorably, certainly over the prior quarter and year over year.
Right.
And we haven't seen that kind of performance in commercial permits in a single quarter for about 2 years.
Right.
So that tells you that there are a lot of commercial activity. Interestingly, we have pretty substantial commercial activity that isn't reported as, quote, new construction, but that's really what our focus is, because we think that tells the tale in terms of long-term new capital investment in the economy.
Home building going very strong. I mean, those numbers also were very strong.
Home building is also strong, not quarter over quarter, not quite as strong as what I reported to you the last time we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were in the 30 to 40% range last time. Now the increase is about 11.5%, whether you look at it in terms of numbers or in terms of total dollar value. Interestingly enough, if you take the total dollar value of those residential permits divided by that number, you get an average that's about roughly $304,000 per permit. And that's a little flat as compared to what we had seen in the previous quarter. So it appears that we're not going to continue to see, this exponential rise from one quarter to the next, but still an increase. And I think if you speak to people in the construction industry and certainly in the realty industry,
right,
they're still encouraged. And frankly, they'd rather have it this
sure,
way than to have
sure,
some meteoric rise going on that takes us back to times that we've had in the past. And we know you go high, you fall from a high place.
What do you know about foreclosures? What's the story there?
Foreclosures is an interesting picture this time around. The number of new foreclosure filings in the third quarter as compared to the second quarter is down 65%.
Wow.
And that's precipitous.
Right.
And so the people that I've spoken to that follow this industry closely, they say it's really a combination of three factors. One is it's like a regulatory issue or a policy issue, and that is a new law was implemented back in June here in the state of Florida that requires the financial institutions that are involved in these deals to do a much better job of dotting their I's and crossing their T's. So that means they've got more work to do, and they're not going to be quite as interested in rushing into that. And
I see.
Secondly, as we know, values have come up in the property values have come up, and so maybe there's not quite as many properties that are underwater.
Right.
And thirdly, a business decision by these banks, and that is if we're don't want to rush into this foreclosure situation, maybe we learn how to do a better job at getting rid of these properties, removing them from our balance sheet through the short sale process. And so we've seen an increase in short sales. So really a combination of those three factors, but 65% is an incredible drop. And again, I think that's a good news story.
Yeah, absolutely.
For our economy.
What about jobs, Rob? The last time we talked, unemployment rate was continuing to fall. What do we see there?
Well, again, we have 7.1% unemployment in August. Interestingly, if you compare August 13 as compared to 12, you'll see that the actual size of the labor force is reduced by about 1,100, but you actually have the number of employed is increased, and coincidentally, the number of unemployed is decreased. So I know there are some people that think the unemployment rate, because it's a division problem, can be manipulated. So I think it's also important to look at the pure numbers. And we'll see, going forward again what the impact of the shutdown is. Maybe not necessarily directly on us, but also indirectly. And we also have a cycle in our employment economy here, so we'll see how that looks as we go in toward the holiday season and out of the first quarter of next year.
Rob, one of the things we talked about this last quarter, and it's continuing on, and that is the manufacturing sector in Volusia County is doing well, and every 3 months we talk about another plant expansion or an anniversary or some sort of thing relative to manufacturing.
Well, I have to start, Dave, by acknowledging Jane Pfeiffer and the VMA and the board of the VMA. They've done a lot of work to help make that a really solid trade industry, and they look out for each other. But we have, as you know, over 400 manufacturers. I continue to run into people that don't appreciate that we even have a manufacturing sector, let alone one that's that size.
Right.
We've had some pretty significant announcements over the past several months in DeLand, Kingspan insulated panels. not only announced an expansion, but they designated the DeLand facility as their North American headquarters.
Right.
So they're bringing in higher skilled positions to support what is a traditional headquarters function. Most people have read recently that Teledyne Oil and Gas in Daytona Beach on Williamson, they've just recently opened a technology development center. And again, it's another opportunity where higher wage jobs come in. They've hired 70, 80 new people there. Just recently, Covidian, located back in DeLand on 92 at the intersection of 92 and Kepler. I don't think most people appreciate, Dave, that they have over 450,000 square feet of manufacturing space, Covidian does, at that intersection, and they employ over 500 people. Again, these are all good news stories, and I'm seeing more and more activity in the manufacturing sector. So average wages there, we've recently tested that at 44,000, just shy of 700. It's about a 33% increase over the average for the county, which is in and around the 33,500 range. So you can have a great career in manufacturing. Again, Jane Pfeiffer and the VMA do an awesome job of trying to bring that message to the county, but certainly in the educational institutions, both in the Volusia County schools as well as in our universities and colleges.
I know your agency is a resource for the entire community with a focus on business, of course. You have a lot of information available. If people want to get more information, Rob, maybe get in touch with you or a staff member, how do people get more information?
Dave, they can call our office at 386-248-8048. We'd be happy to speak with them, or they can go online at our website at www.floridabusiness.org.
Well, Rob, again, thanks for being with us. You know, we have you on every quarter. It sure is a lot easier to talk about things when it's positive as opposed to a couple of years ago when it wasn't quite as positive.
It's an enjoyable conversation to have, Dave.
Our guest today, Rob Ehrhardt. He's the Economic Development Director with Volusia County. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council meeting calendar there too. You can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. Here's an activity you might be interested in. You can help the Port Orange Regional Library's international effort to break the sports stacking record Thursday, November 14th. Children and adults are invited to stop by the library between 9 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. to stack up and down stack specially designed cups for at least 30 minutes. Participants who complete the 30 minutes will receive a souvenir cup, bag, and stickers and be entered into a drawing to win stacking cups. For more information about the event, you can visit www.thewssa.com. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's weekly radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a wonderful evening.